Last week, you saw the first act of U.S.S. Challenger, Star Trek Challenger, the RPG we're playing with our fantastic cast here. We have Meric Moir, we have Jim Johnson, we have B.C. Holmes, we have Al Spader all gathered together. If you need to know who they're playing and what we're doing, you need to go last week and check it out because we're jumping into Act 2 as the suspense is really getting big. And Jim wants to know the title of the episode. I'll tell you now because you have no time to actually go look it up. And actually, it's really weirdly strange. It's actually called SS Tranquil. And if you want to know where it's pulled from, for those of you who kind of want to follow along and see how I'm modifying it, it's actually from the Trade Ledger's mission briefs that I wrote a couple years back for Modifius. It's free, so you can go grab it. It's a mission brief, and I knew with such a creative group such as this, I did not need a very detailed module. As you saw from last week, they are really painting the picture, the scene, and really into their characters. So I feel very confident running mission briefs with them. And so now we move into Act 2 of the SS Tranquil. When last we left our heroes, Commodore, and I want to get some clarification. In the book, it's Commodore Nella Zen, but she's the captain, right?
She's the commanding officer. You generally think of commanding officer as the captain.
Yeah, exactly.
She's a Commodore.
Okay.
Rank of
I think
Commodore.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
I'm just going to call you Captain. So Captain Nella Zen, after gathering various intel from her undercover officers who've been placed undercover on the SS Tranquil by Starfleet, she decided to split the party because they are noticing some interesting anomalies. One, they've noticed some anomalies on the bridge. The bridge seems to be separated from controlling the rest of the ship. It doesn't connect. You can't interface any computer aboard the SS Tranquil to get information on the bridge. It's like its own distinct system. In addition, from studying the schematics of the engine room, we find that our chief engineer, the Tellarite Burke Van Jaxa, has noticed some interesting superfluous type engineering stuff going on in engineering. It's on the schematics, and it's been suspected that this is only because you're on a pleasure ship, and they always have to make everything look so great and polished and amazing. But they have some suspicion about this. So the captain has decided to pay 1,000 quatlus to go to the bridge because that's how much the bridge tour costs. Another 1,000 quatlus is going to come from Ensign Tenon, who's a very astute helm officer, played by Jim Johnson. So those two are going to go off to the bridge to investigate that for that 1,000 quatlu tour apiece. Meanwhile, Bern Van Jaxa and Dr. Varel, who's playing under the guise of a Vulcan scholar, are going to sign up for the tour of the engine room and see what they can discover on this. Now, all of you had mentioned doing a little prep work before you go on your separate tours. So why don't we go ahead and start with Commodore, with Captain Nella Zen. What kind of prep work did you want before you headed?
So the first thing I need is I need a bit of medication from the doctor, something that can simulate some swelling, some puffiness in the face, something that looks like an allergic reaction. So hopefully I have like some quick administrating injector that I can stab myself with. So that's prep number one.
Okay, let's start with that because this is really to see how skilled your doctor is in prepping this medication. I'm going to make it a little harder than normal. Why? Because you don't have sickbay here. Basically, we have Dr. Varel who's working in the privacy of her quarters and whatever basic medical kit she could onto the ship. So we're going to be relying more on skill than just technology. Al, Dr. Varel, does she have any focuses that apply to this?
Let's see. I've got, not really. It's computers, emergency medicine, infectious disease, so not really.
Oh boy. Okay. So this is going to be, just so you know, because again, you don't have to think, this is going to be difficulty 3. This is definitely going to be a daring plus medicine difficulty 3. I got to put it on you on this because we're trying to do something that, one, without a sick bay, and two, is not going to be suspected by the crew of the SS Tranquil. Do you have any creative ways, or what do you want to do to hit that F3?
Well, I mean, first things first. I'm gonna prepare a dose of tricordeline, which 20 cc's will should send you into a little bit of allergic reaction. It is not something that we often use, as 95% of the patients are allergic to it, but it does help in some rare occasions. Then you'll need a follow-up shot of cordyline to reduce that swelling within a few minutes. Um, Otherwise, full-blown anaphylaxis and respiratory failure can occur.
And now you know why it's Diff3. Whatever medicine they're giving you to survive this. So it'll not only give the allergic reaction, but also subsequently cure it within a reasonable amount of time.
Yep. So I'm going to buy a dice using momentum. Actually, we have two momentum currently.
One momentum, because this is a new scene, so we lost one momentum from the last scene.
I'm gonna buy a dice with momentum and 2 dice with threat, because I feel like, or sorry, no, not 2 dice, another dice for 2 threat, because I feel like this is a risky maneuver.
Brings us to 9 threat here.
So you said this is daring plus medicine?
Yep.
Right. Target number 12. What could go wrong? All right, I've got a 6, 7, an 8, and a 12. That's 4 successes.
Whoa. Brag all you want, Dr. Varel, because you have 1 momentum then with that.
That momentum is going to
Nice work.
go into the pool. And yes, so you will have 1 minute and 57 seconds before the second dose needs to be administered. Otherwise, anaphylaxis will take hold.
Okay. I trust you, Doctor.
I'd feel more comfortable if I was there with you, but
I understand, but you need it elsewhere.
I'm looking forward to some sleight of hands rolls having to be required, for that second pill, but we'll get to that later. Okay, so that was your preparation. That basically took your preparation. Dr. Varel, was there anything else, or was that all you were doing to prepare? Was there anything else you were preparing before going to the engine room?
I imagine that probably took all of my time.
Yep.
Sorry.
Yeah, I would think so too.
Can I just do one last bit of prep? Which is, I want to have a pep talk with a kid. Saying, hey, I know this may be a new thing for you. This is one of your earliest away missions, I'm pretty sure. But, I trust that you can do this. Remember, your cover story is you're a minor noble, and if somebody challenges you about the fact that you're fiddling with controls there, just act like this is something that you feel entitled to do. I slap you on the back.
Well, thank you, Cap. Thank you, Commodore. I will do my best to make you proud and not embarrass the ship.
Very good. And I was looking at your sheet to see if there's anything that this kind of reassurance can give you any bonuses now. No, but in the action phase, the reassurance can definitely be something you could play with your character. What about you, Ensign Tenant? Anything you're doing to prepare before heading to the bridge?
Was there any? What kind of time did we have between having that conversation in the spa and then getting ready to go to the bridge tour?
I would say overnight, and this is going to be a next. The spa was one day. You book the bridge tour for the next day.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Next
well,
morning.
Tenon has a great deal of control and spends a lot of time in personal meditation. So he probably spent a chunk of the evening, between sleeping and then meditating, just getting his head settled, knowing what the task is, working through all the variables, thinking about some of the different surface emotions that he was picking up, both in the gambling hall and then just in the crew in general. And then just being ready to support his Commodore and the rest of the crew on the mission.
Oh, it sounds to me like we almost need to see if you roll an advantage, a trait that could be advantageous with all of this meditation. If for instance, you were to roll, say, a presence and science 3, you have science. So what kind of advantage or trait do you think might this bonus? you with?
What would be the trait? I guess the trait could be well prepared or mentally prepared. Like cool-headed, something like maybe a trait of cool-headedness.
I like that. Let's go with cool-headedness. If you succeed in a difficulty 2 presence plus science task.
Presence plus science. Okay, so that's a target number 13. Just straight up, I'm not going to spend any momentum here. Just going to see what we got here. You said difficulty 3?
Difficulty 2. It costs difficulty 2 to create a trait, so we're gonna
difficulty 2. That's right. Yep. I've got a 9, which is a success, and a 17. So this is effectively a failure. And because I have a talent called backup plans, I've always got contingencies and backup plans in motion. So if I or one of my allies fails a task, I may add 1 point to the group's momentum pool. So even though I failed the task to create the trait, we've just got ourselves an extra momentum.
That is cool. That is a really cool trait.
And
that's a good one.
Actually, now that I think about it, oh wait, I didn't succeed. Never mind. I have untapped potential, but that doesn't apply here.
Okay.
So
cool.
we did get 1 extra momentum though. So now we have 2 momentum, right? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Meric, is that we're two momentum now?
We got 2 momentum and 9 threat in our pool.
Woot! Thank you.
All right. And Meric, your character, the chief engineer who's undercover as a sculptor. What's Berkvin Jaxa doing to prepare? If you get a preparation action for this.
Absolutely. Lieutenant Commander Berkvin Jaxa has disassembled his hollow photography tricorder across his bed for the evening and is attempting to tweak it so that it will better pick up any indications of, radical particles from explosives.
Interesting. Okay, let's go ahead and have you roll on this one. Control plus engineering.
Excellent.
On this to see if you can get that finessed without the benefits of your engineering lab back on the Challenger.
Yeah.
And this will be difficulty 2 to create a trait of enhanced, like pinpointing explosives or something, right?
Perfect. I love enhanced tricorder for explosives. That's great.
Okay.
Now, focuses. I don't think I have anything that applies to this kind of fine work. I'm all about warp drive and computers. Reverse engineering isn't quite going to come into play, and I'm not repairing something, so I can't use my jury rig talent. So I think I just have to roll. But 2 successes. If everyone's cool, I would love to spend 1 momentum.
Go for it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. Go for it.
Okay, so we are doing control engineering. Pretty good with that. Ooh, yeah. Okay, we got the 3 successes with a 5, a 10, and a 14.
So you got a momentum back.
We did
You got
generate
3
1
successes.
momentum back. Yeah.
All right, and go ahead and add that trait now. You have a tricorder with enhanced scanning for explosives. If you can get that into 2 words, I'll be impressed. It's up to you.
Photo tricorder. Yeah.
I've been known for full sentences for traits. So
Yeah.
just to make sure it's very clear, but it's up to you. We all know what you're doing. All right. Jim wants to say something. What did you say, Jim?
I want to do
I was gonna cut it down to 2 words and call it Boom Finder.
Boom Finder. That's good.
Yes. Okay, let's go with Boom Finder.
Yeah, I was thinking hyphenated. Like it's an enhanced something in the hyphenated. We'll get there. But Boom Finder tricorder.
Very good. Okay, cool. All right, so this sets us off. Now I got to really decide, which do I want to play first? I'm going to say 1 through 10. I'm bringing in a little captain's log here. 1 through 10, we do the bridge scene first. 11 through 20, we do the engineering scene first. Does that sound fair to everyone? Okay, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and roll. An 8. We are going to the bridge first. That means that the actions that take place linearly happen first on the bridge. So this is interesting because anything that happens on the bridge might affect what happens in engineering on their tour. Okay, so each The bridge people who are coming with me are 1,000 quatlus poorer now. As you head to the bridge, and you're fortunate because the captain himself is doing the tour as would be appropriate. You pay this much money. It only makes sense that the captain does the tour. Again, the captain's name is, I have it right here. Give me a second. FC Agron. Captain Agron is their name, and we've already seen their picture. All right. There's two other people who've paid for this tour. Amazingly, it's the Pandronian again. Apparently, this person loves doing every activity, so the Pandroni is there. And of course, they had to go was Ensign Walking Bear and his sweetheart Lieutenant Norad, because Ensign Walking Bear is into astronavigation and is a Helms officer. So he saved up his money to be able to go also. I see Al nodding like this. Go ahead, Al. Were you going to say something? Okay. Cool. So that's who is on the bridge tour. There's 5 in all, including Ensign Tennant under the guise of, what's the name? Can I have it one more time? Who are you playing?
I'm under the guise of Oala's Bako, son of the 5th house, heir to the sacred diadem of Anshu. And given this group of people that have paid for this bridge tour, even though they found 1,000 quatlus somehow to pay for this bridge tour, clearly I am the most important person here next to the captain. So I'm going to make every effort to place myself front and center in front of the captain and monopolize as much of his time as possible. To separate myself from the rabble, as it were, the plebes who've bought their way in somehow, and I'm going to attempt to just use my I'm not supposed to because it's ethically inappropriate, but picking up his surface emotions, his surface thoughts, using my telepathy just to get that kind of like background feel for what he's doing, and I'm going to just ply him. Being young and brash and a little bit naive, I'm going to play into that, and I'm just going to pepper him with as many questions as possible about the ship operations, how much he enjoys it, what are they prepared for, what kind of contingencies are they prepared for, like, and heavens forbid, what would happen if something were to, if local pirates in this sector of space were to attack the ship, what would you do? Blah 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 blah, and just go on that. And just do my best to get a feel for where he is and what's his headspace right now.
Okay, very good. Just so you know, Melisa Pell is the name of who Commodore Nella Zen is playing. Is Melisa Pell, who is a manager of supply and logistics at a Trill-based research lab. Very boring, apparently. Meric?
What was the trait that we got for the medical preparations again?
It's actually, you got almost like it almost gave you like an opportunity. It gave the pill. So
yeah, I just wanted.
I don't know. Does that need to be a trait?
Added to the. No, that's fine. We have equipment. Cool.
I should ask. It's like equipment. Yeah. So it is. You're right. It is an equipment trait. So let's call it the pill.
So a dose of tricorderline.
Maybe the pill.
A dose of tricorderline.
And a dose of cordyline.
And is it the second one that's a pill and the first one's an injector? That's the
No, the tricorderline is the pill.
Okay.
The cordyline is an injection.
Okay.
Amazing medical technobabble. I love it. Okay.
So the pill
good
gives me the swelling. The injection takes it away. Got it.
All right.
Yep.
Now I'm going to spend 2 threat because I want to do something interesting here, and I'm not going to really describe anything except for this point to Jim. Jim, you can't detect any emotions off Captain Agron.
Well, that's very interesting. What does Captain Agron present as? Is he human? Humanoid?
You saw the picture, and right, you see the picture, and that's how he presents.
Interesting. Okay, well, I will file that away in the back of my mind and try not to be too concerned about that.
Okay. So he's walking through the bridge and highlighting gizmos and gadgets and da.
At some point, I'm just gonna, not make too much of a fuss immediately, but I'm gonna turn to somebody at like one of the consoles. I'm gonna say, Could you have a glass of water? My throat is really scratchy here.
Sure. Follow me to the bridge set replicator.
Oh,
no, sorry.
Thank you.
Sorry, we actually do have something. It's a synthesizer. Sorry, let's go to the synthesizer. I'm keeping us in the proper era, people. Not
Sure.
replicator, but synthesizer. So let's go over to the food synthesizer that's set here on the bridge. Are you feeling okay, ma'am?
Yeah, I don't know. It's just my throat is a little bit, and I'll have the pill ready in my fist. And at some point, when I've brought my hand up to my face to do a deep, wheezy coffee sound, I'll try to pop it in. There wasn't like Andorian gourd spice in breakfast this morning. That would be really bad. I need to confirm this. Is this going to be a thing?
Hold on. While you drink that, let me go ahead and check what the breakfast menu was.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, I want you to, since you asked that, I want you to do a roll while you're watching this female crew officer interface with the computer. And I'm going to need you to do an insight plus engineering difficulty 2 to catch it.
Insight engineering difficulty 2. These are not great rolls for me. Since it is a difficulty 2, are people comfortable if I steal our last momentum?
You have 2 momentum right now.
Oh, I missed one at some point, apparently. Okay. Oh, wait, third die. Okay, well, good news. I have a 1, a 6, and a 16, which is no use to me. But I think that gives me 3 successes.
That's right. Okay, so you get another momentum back. So what you notice is when she goes to interface with the computer, you see her put her hands on the computer, she types in the query. And that's one lit up screen.
Okay.
There's a secondary screen, and what you notice is there's a lag as information transfers into the secondary screen, which is almost like a buffer. And then from that secondary screen, the information is transmitted out.
Interesting.
You can pair that with the knowledge you learned before that the bridge is operating as its own system. Okay?
Okay.
Do you want to? You earned a momentum. Do you want to ask a follow-up question with an obtained information?
Yeah. What do I have a theory about? What is going on technologically with that? Is it transmitting from one system to another system so they could relay it to the engineer? I'm not going to speculate. I'm going to ask the.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask the GM.
No.
What's the question? That question.
No,
What's happening?
It's a great question. In fact, with your long life as a trail, you're aware of maybe having been on a prison ship before. And it's not unusual for prison ships to separate that main computer core and the main systems from the internal systems just in case there's a takeover. And how they do that is have 2 different cores, and they have an intermediary core. So the transmission goes to the intermediary core, they re-secure the bridge, and then that shoots off to the secondary core for whatever commands. So there would be a lag. It's true, there's a lag. It's a few seconds, which is a lot of time on a starship sometimes. But obviously, this bridge is separated so that you cannot take over this bridge or access it externally. You have to be on the bridge in that primary computer core in order to operate commands.
Okay.
Good use of that. Good use of that obtained information. And you're the only one sitting on that right now because you can't openly communicate this with your officers.
So once I start feeling some of the puffiness starting to happen, I'm going to hit the floor. I'm just going to fall right down, full weight of my body, and start wheezing.
Give us at least 3 more seconds of that.
Spice.
Exactly. All right. We have a medical emergency, right? Once again on the floor, she's the attendant would again have to put in an emergency message through that tertiary system and then finally off to the internal computer to call a doctor. However, we go over to Ensign Tenon. You were already kind of flabbergasted, like, I'm not getting a read on this guy. I'm getting a read on everybody else, most everybody else, who are within my vicinity. Captain Agron, of course, turns around. Now his back is facing you, and you're next to a console.
I'm going to take the opportunity of the distraction to get a really good look at the console, and just use my knowledge of shipboard systems and I mean, not so much communication technologies, but just in general, like what am I looking at? And if I presented myself as kind of a haughty noble, I may start pushing some buttons just to see what I can do. Like maybe do a oh gosh. Maybe run a diagnostic on that area of the ship if I'm able to access it, just to try to get a feel for what was in that area that was just discolored on the images.
Okay, so I want to be clear. You're putting hands on the console, or are you observing the console? I need to know.
Well, initially I'm observing just to see what I'm looking at. I mean, if I'm at a communications console, then I'd want to move to a different console. But I mean, obviously, what's this console in front of me that the captain was showing me initially?
What would your preference be? And then we'll roll on the probability matrix from Captain's log to determine.
Good call. Ideally, it would be a like an internal systems, like an internal engineering type of console, like a operations to manage like power flow.
Okay, I'm going to say that that's probable, because
Okay.
that's a common ship. When you walk in and when you're first on a bridge tour, operations is probably one of the first things you see. So you 1 through 15, and yeah, you're near an operations control center. 4. Okay. So yep, you're near an operations control center. And what did you hands on or just observe?
So if it's an operations control console, I think hands on. If the captain is clearly distracted by whatever's happening with the Commodore with the medical condition, I'm going to see if I can quickly pull up an engineering schematic of that section of the bridge, like the section of the ship that we referenced in the photos, and see if I can. Are the systems compatible with my tricorder? Can I like pull information off the computer onto my tricorder?
So you have your photos. You've brought your camera with you that is actually a tricorder, correct? Well, let me do this. You asked the question, so since you have to ask, I have to roll it. Will the captain notice? This is going to be an opposed task against the captain's insight plus security, which is a total of 13. I'll just roll 2 dice, and if you can beat that, then I'm going to give you a chance to roll on what you want to do with that computer. So let's see if you can do that. So they rolled a 17 and an 18. Difficulty 0. Difficulty 0. So I have to have you roll on that just to see if you have any complications roll on. But for you, this is going to be daring plus security in order to. It's difficulty 0 though.
Okay, so daring security. So that's target number 11. I'm going to spend one of those points of momentum that we have to support this. I'm going to roll 3 dice. Again, target number is 11. None of my focuses are really going to help me here, so just straight up 3 dice. Let's see, I've got a 6, I've got a 9, and a 19. So that's 2 successes.
Okay, and you said you had spent a momentum, so you had 0. So you have 2 momentum off of this. Then.
Yep.
You all have 2 momentum right now.
Total would be at 3 now. We had 1 in the
pool. We'd be at 3 now, yeah.
Yeah, we had 2 in the pool. Jim spent 1.
I spent 1.
And then just generated 2 more.
So we're at 3. Okay, perfect.
So we're at 3.
All right. Yep. So I'm glad you have that momentum, because getting into the system, I already said the ship is 11 and 2, or 9 and 2 is what we're doing for the ship skills. So it's going to be difficulty 2. I'm going to reduce it by 1 because of the trait with the pill. People are looking in the other direction. So I think it's fair to make this difficulty 1. Let me know, what are you trying to ask? What's your question to the computer? What are you trying to find out?
I'm trying to get I guess a technical schematic of that section of the ship where the discoloring was, just to see if I can get a better understanding of what's actually going on in that area of the ship, that they would have it be different than the rest of it.
Sounds good. Okay, I understand. So difficulty 1.
Okay, and this is
now that you're in the system. Yep.
Reason engineering.
Yep.
Okay, so that's difficulty 14. I'm going to spend 1 point of momentum again, so that'll bring us down to 2. So I'm going to roll 3 dice against a target number of 14. Oh, let's see, we got a 3. Again, none of my focuses are going to help here. A 9 and a 12, so that's 3 successes.
Wow,
So that
fantastic.
generates 2 more momentum. So that brings us up to 4 momentum.
Incredible.
Okay, you're amazing because what you did discover is the operations center you're looking at is currently monitoring and making sure that a redundant warp particle energy shield is powered.
A warp particle energy shield. And
This is an
Can I
obtained
spend a-
information. Uh-huh.
can I spend a point of momentum for obtaining information? So that brings us down to 3 momentum.
Down
is
to
that
2
type of
momentum. Wait, this would bring you down to how many momentum if you do an obtain?
We've got 4 in the pool
we were
right
we
now.
were at 4, and I'm spending 1 to obtain information.
Got it.
Right. So that brings us down to 3.
Mhm.
Is this type of technology typical for a pleasure vessel? I'm guessing not, but I could be wrong.
Absolutely not. This
Absolutely
is state-of-the-art engineering to generate this warp particle energy shield.
And can I spend 1 more point of momentum for another question?
Sure.
I don't have my note, and I don't have my notes in front of me. If it's appropriate, do we have any intelligence on whether the Arbazons who were responsible for stealing the explosives, is this something that would potentially be within their wheelhouse of something that they could obtain or make use of?
Let me look at your skills real quick. I just need to see.
I don't have the briefing in front of me, and
This technology, because you had such an amazing role, I'll tell you the technology, you've seen it in Starfleet Academy because you're fresh out of the academy. And of course, you had to do study on warp field, warp theories, force fields, and stuff like this. And you do remember a Delton guest instructor who came in and talked about the application of this kind of technology where you could actually use the warp core to give you multiphasic warp fields, like actually create force fields by basically warping space. So it's a theoretical technology. It was a Delton advisor who talked about it once, and you're like, whoa, it's actually in action here. It's not theoretical. I'm seeing it.
Wow. Okay. Interesting. And is that information something I was able to download to my my photographic device, or is it just something I am aware of?
I mean, if you spend the final 2 remaining for a trait, yeah. The final 2 remaining momentum.
Oh shit! I feel like that's important information that Jax is probably going to want to be aware of, but I would feel guilty about burning the group's momentum pool here. So, what do you think, folks? Should we spend the momentum and grab it, or I'm seeing a thumbs up from Meric.
Let's do it.
And Al, just given the technology, I can't see anybody else's face. I don't know what you want.
So
you see, Al?
They all said yeah.
Yes,
Al?
do
Okay.
it. Yeah.
I'll spend the last 2 momentum then, and I'll go ahead and download that information to my my device.
Okay, I'll drop the terminology to make your life easy, Meric, into the general chat here, so you can see that you now have redundant warp particle energy shield schematics.
Schematics.
Good.
And out of curiosity, Michael, are our devices, like, can they talk to each other? Are we connected to each other virtually, or is it all are we all isolated?
You can, as far as you know.
Yeah. Okay. Well, as soon as I download that information onto my device, I'll send it straight to Jaxa so that he's aware of it.
Okay, which is perfect for a cutscene. And I'm glad you spent the momentum because you would have lost one anyways at the end of the scene, right? So I think this is a perfect time to do a cutscene over to engineering, and we have Jaxa and we have Viral under their guises. 1 second. Okay, so upon arriving in the, you're in it's only the 2 of you. Amazingly, you're the only 2 who signed up for the engineering tour this morning. But on your way there, Score actually had seen that you were heading over there, and so he tagged along and said, "Oh, I'm glad you're heading to the engineering. I'm going to show you that I'm right. We're going,
and
so,
we're gonna get to the bottom of it. We are going to figure this out, you and me.
Exactly. And Dr. Varel's playing along as she joins the term. It's Lieutenant Commander Engel, who's in engineering, and conducting the tour. And sure enough, as you're all walking there, it's amazing. I mean, the warp core is so fandangled; it's totally superfluous. People are sitting at their stations. If you ever go on a cruise ship and tour the bridge or engineering, and they're just beyond clean and primped, and you can tell that even the stations that you're touring, it's like Disneyland buttons. You don't think that these all work. This is purely a superfluous tour, and it's kind of irritating, in fact, seeing all this abundance of unnecessary stuff. Possibly, Dr. Varel, you want to take a view of what your feeling is and what you're doing?
I'm actually looking for any outliers that are not like in unison and clean. Like, is there like a station somewhere that's a little bit more disheveled than the others? Is there someone who maybe isn't paying as close attention to what they're supposed to be doing? That's kind of what I'm looking for to try to see if there's any culprits that might be also, you know,
Yeah.
undercover.
I'm gonna
I'm
roll.
hearing
That's
information.
highly. I'm gonna say that's highly improbable because this is, in fact, it's so uncomfortably meticulous. But I'm gonna say it's highly improbable that anyone's off their game here. Let me roll. This would be a 1 or 2. No, no, everyone's on their A game here. Like, it
Okay.
is sharp and well, not manicured, but well put together. I can't think of the word I was thinking of. All right, Tellarite, Jaxa.
I'll be walking along with Score and saying, yes, well, I mean, you can't argue that this doesn't look very, very impressive. And then I'll start taking some pictures with the
Okay.
boom finder photo tricorder.
Oh, interesting. Okay, so this is going to be, in this case, you're using that tricorder. Um, Go ahead and give me an insight plus engineering
Okay.
difficulty
Now I do have
2.
something with that. When I have incisive scrutiny as a talent. When I succeed at a task using controller insight, I can ask one question as if I had spent momentum on obtained information.
Very good. Yeah. And
Excellent.
you can ask that to Lieutenant Engel, or you can ask it to me.
Cool. So insight engineering. What's my difficulty?
2.
2.
Mhm.
I think it's not worth it to add to threat at this point. I think we can roll dice. Everybody, yeah. I'm gonna just go for it. My target number's 14. I'm pretty good. Pretty good. Yes. 2
Oh,
twos.
nice.
2 twos.
2 twos.
2 twos. I wonder, did I have a focus that would apply?
You actually do. You have warp drive, and it
Hey.
actually applies.
That is
Yeah,
4
and I'll give you
successes
that.
then.
That's right. So, and you'll have the free obtain information too. So as you're taking pictures, which most tourists do, you definitely know it's superfluous. Now you know that the engine is correct, but as you're looking along, picture the warp drive, this big cylinder warp drive. And then there's all these fake computers around with the people fake working Disneyland style. And then there's this tube that comes out of the warp drive and it runs towards the innards of the ship, where according to the schematics would be an area underneath the pool. Under the pool area. And you think, well, that's superfluous too. However, you notice that there's warp inhibitor couplings that are on this tube going. And those are usually sustained just in case there's a release of warp particles or a differential in matter antimatter. They can lock down and shut off and shunt a whole section so that warp particles stop going in a particular direction. So that would seem superfluous, but if it's superfluous, why do you put these real warp shunts on top of it? You can actually recognize that they're pulling energy from the warp drive and sending it somewhere else into the ship.
Okay. So for my free question, the amount of energy that they are pulling out right there, what could that power? What are some of the things that could be powering?
Oh man, great question for an engineer. I mean, if you were in a colony, say, and you were able to pull this kind of warp power, you could defend the colony from an aerial strike for a while from Klingon bird of prey. I mean, it could do that. It could power three cities, three metropolises. This amount of warp power, on in a colony, automatons. I mean, this is a lot of power. Way more power than this vessel needs, by the way, in order to
Okay.
operate.
So then, if I could spend one more momentum, can I see access like hatches, some Jeffries tubes that might run alongside this so that we could go and investigate closer?
Interestingly, you could get Jeffrey tubes from the other direction, things going in the other direction, because that's probably the real engineering operational center is on the opposite side. But for this cosmetic side, and that's a good point for this warp shunt, there's no access to this. It drives into a wall and heads off to the innards of the ship. And if you were to base it off the schematics you saw, it's heading into the direction where, based off of the captain's data, would be where that discoloration that is underneath the vessel. So it's heading into that direction, which is underneath the pool deck. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. And so ending with 3 momentum in the pool after all of that.
Or one. Wait, three?
Yeah, so I generated. Wait, what was my difficulty? Because
You generated. It was difficulty 2.
difficulty 2.
You generated 4.
4.
So you
it
had
would've been
2.
2. There we go. That's what I did. I put all 4 in. So
Yeah.
dropping
So
down to
you
1.
should have 1 left.
Okay.
All right. I'll give a bounce back to Viral real quick. Anything else you want to do? Can I ask? Are you transmitting this information to Viral while you're scanning?
Yeah.
I don't have a camera out or anything like that. I'm more.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm so I've checked the stations. Just making a scan around. Mental state of the people here. Do they seem like they are all enjoying their jobs? Are they? I have psychology as focus. So I'm, you know, I want to know: is this like an act? Is everybody like in synchronous? Or are there people that like it right now? It feels very sterile and robotic to me. So I'm
Yep.
looking to see if there is any signs of people that maybe aren't enjoying their job.
Give me a reason plus medicine, difficulty 1,
Reason plus medicine, difficulty 1. All right.
with psychiatry.
Psychiatry. Yep. That is a 14 and a 5. So it's 3 successes.
Wow, nice. So that gives you 2 bonus. So now your pool's at 3. Who are you talking to? Are you going to talk to Lieutenant Commander Engel or just a rando?
Yeah. I'll talk to Engel, seeing how's the work, how's the crew here, how is this for a job? Do people seem to enjoy it?
Ship shape and bristle fashion. Captain Agron will not run anything besides that. These are all highly trained professionals. These, as you can see, are duteous and making sure that if anything goes wrong, it's immediately corrected.
And if one was to seek a job on board the ship, would you get housing here as part of the job? Is it all inclusive? Food?
Room and board, in addition, a stipend of quatlus per week of service. Agron really takes care of his people. He saved up the story. I'm sure you've heard the story of Captain Agron, where he saved up his money. He wanted to travel the stars, but he did not want to do it at the behest of anyone else. He wanted to explore where he wanted to go, and the people that he hires has the same desire to make the universe a place of pleasure. So anyone who signs on for every year they're on, they get into a retirement fund, and this is just a place for pleasure to just enhance our experience and your experience, of course.
It's been joyous so far. Thank you.
Are you thinking of applying for a job?
I might have a higher calling, unfortunately. It all depends on how my thesis goes. But anyway, it's a top-notch operation you run down here, Lieutenant Commander.
Okay, let's cut scene real quick back to the bridge. We have to because someone's in the middle of a medical emergency. So what's your next step, Captain?
Sure. So, from the point that I hit I swallowed the pill and started, wheezing and coughing. Mentally, in the back of my head, I've been counting up to 110. And so once I hit 110, I'm gonna start doing this thing where I'm patting my pockets and looking for something, and then finally pull out the injector and say, "Magnus," and then jab myself in the shin with it.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. I think that's an automatic action at that point. So describe to us what happens. People are surrounding you. Captain Agron's moving over towards you. Some of the other, the two Starfleet officers are there. The Pandronian, they're all kind of looking in your direction. So what do you do at this point?
I'll probably end up continue lying on the ground, trying to keep all eyes on me as long as possible. I'll start reducing the speed of my panting, etc., as if maybe the injector is helping out my allergy here. Presumably that once the injection has actually happened, some of the swelling is going down as well, so that's helping to satisfy the story. And maybe after a couple of minutes of people being around me, it's just could people just move back a bit? I just need to breathe a little. Oh, I am so embarrassed by all of this. Oh dear. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I've ruined the tour for all of you. This is hugely embarrassing. I'm so sorry.
Captain Agron, of course, pushes through the crowd and says, "It's okay. We're so sorry this happened to you. We'll make you comfortable. Medical, we'll be here in a moment. We'll make sure to check with the menu and get you the medical care you need." While that conversation is happening, Tenon, what are you doing, Ensign Tenon?
I'm guessing everybody's still pretty distracted by what the Commodore's doing, right, with the medical issues.
Let's roll and see if they are real quick, because there's other officers there. We're going to use the ship again, 9 and 2 for 11, and see what's going on. Okay, so it would be difficulty 1 if you tried to do anything else with those computers, because now people are kind of standing at attention, and they're going to clear the bridge out because this is unusual. They're not going to continue the tour, so people's eyes are around happening. So
yeah, I don't want to risk anything else with the computers, but I do want to get a good, trying to take a good effort just to get a read on the surface thoughts of everybody here. Is there anybody hiding something or thinking things that they shouldn't be thinking about, given the current crisis, the current medical crisis? Is anybody got something else that is top of mind?
Very good. Give me a presence plus science, difficulty 1. Since I usually make it difficulty 2, but you're a betazoid, so yeah. I'm making that down to difficulty 1.
Okay, so presence science, that's the target number 13. I'm going to spend one of our 3 momentums, bring us down to 2 momentum. And so we'll see what we got here. So 13. Let's see. There's an 11, a 12. Hey, here you go. I got a 20. So I got 2 successes and a complication. So that gives us 1 point of momentum. So we're up to 3 momentum, and we now have a complication.
I'm making that complication betazoid spotted.
Uh-oh. Okay.
Well, I mean, you came on as a betazoid. As a betazoid, but I'll show you how this plays in. So betazoid spotted. So as you start using this opportunity, because when people are in a thing like this, their guards are down, their defenses are down. Mm-hmm. Again, you start with Agron, nothing. You go over to the person who is attending. Yeah, you go to the person who is attending, the captain, and oh my goodness, this is horrible. I have allergies too. And then you start scanning different people in the bridge crew. Oh, make sure to initiate lockdown. We have a security here. Medical should be here in 30 seconds. You go to somebody else, that person's a betazoid. I wonder if they'll find out. You go over to another person and saying, this is highly erratic. We need to clear this. This will blow everything. And you go to another person. Okay, our navigational, we're sitting on navigation. We're going to be heading toward the nebula. So you're picking up all these different thoughts at this point. And you do identify as the 2 people. In fact, if you go back and look at the pictures of the crew, which we put into the
The chat window.
chat window. The people in the front row, there's a woman who is of African descent, and in the center, there seems to be a man who's of Caucasian descent. Those are the two that you heard those errant thoughts from. Okay, those two there.
Okay. Interesting.
All right, so you picked that.
And they look to be important-ish. They got a lot. What, at least the guy in the middle's got some rank braids. So I'm guessing he's like
first officer, probably.
Were we introduced to them at any point during the last few days?
Good question, because when you had the captain's dinner, he introduces all his big wigs. Most of them you don't know, but you do know that would be the first officer in the center, and then right to the right would be the ship's master navigator.
That's the black skinned woman.
Exactly. Yeah. So she's a master navigator. Yeah.
Okay. Well, if I've been introduced to the first officer, probably I as a minor noble of the Betazoid houses, I was probably invited to the captain's mess at one point. So I probably met all the senior officers.
And he's the one who said, "This is the Betazoid." That was the mind you scan, where it's like, "Oh, Betazoid spotted." Like, very attentive on you.
Well, then I will go right up to him and say, "What's his rank? Is it commander, first officer? What's the right way to
be considered a commander? Yeah.
Commander.
First officer. Yeah, either one.
First officer. Okay. Commander, is there any risk to the rest of the crew given what has happened to this individual here? Do we need to be concerned?
There's no reason why her medical emergency should pose a risk to the rest of the crew. We will be clearing the bridge, of course. And he starts doing guiding hands toward the door, guiding hands.
Well, I'm gonna raise a bit of a stink here. I'm gonna say, so what if it was in the food? Is there any lockdown procedures we need to be concerned about as far as the cafeteria or the food preparation on this ship?
I assure you very much that we are going to.
When I came onto the tour.
We are going to follow all appropriate policies and procedures in order to make sure we're restored. He leans forward to you and he says, "And I would really mind that you as a Betazoid respect our privacy policy."
Excuse me?
You are out of line if you are performing any type of mental scans aboard this bridge or anywhere else in the ship. You signed the privacy policy before coming on board. Let's not make more of a scene, shall we?
I think I'm taken aback.
Well, while you're taken aback, why don't I take you out, please? Guiding hands.
Very well. Well, yeah. I mean, just without verbally, I'll just I'll take that in stride and be led out of the bridge.
Okay, and as you leave it, because you're looking back and the captain's getting raised up now, and she's stopping her contortionism. Captain Agron does side eye you just as you move out of the bridge area to the left.
Interesting.
Okay. All right. Anything, Captain? As you're getting okay, let's get you to medical. We'll check you out at medical.
I think my injector has probably helped here. I'm honestly just embarrassed that I've ruined the tour for everyone else, and I just want to go back to my stateroom and cry into my pillow.
No. When you're feeling better, we'll go ahead and reinstitute the tour another time for you. And the rest of our guests also, please, Captain Agron says, please, accept my humblest apologies. I hope this doesn't have anything to do with us, but we'll do a thorough investigation. I'll report back to you in a few hours.
Thank you. It's just, it's been, I don't know, years since I've had a reaction that bad.
Guiding hands.
Pass on my apologies to the other tour members.
Of course, guiding hands. Good. Okay, good. Very nice. All right, I'm going to roll something real quick that I prepared because this is right before we take our second break as we prepare to end Act 2. I'm going to roll a 20-sided dice, 1 through 5. Each one of you represents it in order. So 1 through 5 would, of course, be the captain. 6 through 10 would be Dr. Varel. 11 through 20 would be Ben Jackson. I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Hold on, let me look at it. Ben Jackson. And 16 through 20, this would be our young ensign Tenon. So let me roll this. 15. So this will be involving Venjaxa, which is kind of fun. I am going to, before we end Act 2, I'm going to do something that is actually a new rule in Star Trek Adventures 2nd edition. And it's not the reversal. It's actually called, let me look it up now. It's called something new. We are now doing a reveal, which cost me 4 threats to do. So my threat goes from 7 down to 3. And so this is what happens. Cutting back to the engineering tour, it is over, and so you're being escorted out, guiding hands, out of engineering, and you're
I'm
moving
taking
back
pictures.
into the main. You're making back into the main corridor, and all of a sudden, as you walk out there, and Viral is walking, and the avian goes his way. All of a sudden, from down the corridor, you hear, "Hey, Lieutenant Commander Venjaxa?" And a voice from across it, there's another Tellarite who you went to the academy with. And he says, "What are you doing here? I thought you were on the Challenger." Cutscene. And that will end Act 2. And we will proceed and come back next week with Act 3 of Star Trek Challenger and the story of the SS Tranquil.